Love NXT.
He's going to have trouble staying in the bar at the top. He's off. Oh dear. He's out of the ball already. Where is he? No, he's trying to climb back in.
I'm a running boys, don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it goes along in a good old song from the sons of Nebraska. Now it's coming near with a rising cheer that'll sweep all foes away. So with all our vim, we're bound to win, and we're going to win today. In the days of old, Johnny Vanderbilt would just take that ball in hand, and with Benedict right in front of him, they would set sail for the land. Then up eager too, with a chosen few, would be all around everywhere. And before they quit, they would calmly sit down behind that goalpost there. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Cream, though they go through many battles, our colors still are seen, and so we're going to stand in victory through any of them for the team. And we'll always stir a Cornhusker, the Scarlet and the Cream.
All right, what's up, everybody? I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We are Two Average Guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the
brother.
new MXC entrance there.
MXC is great. At least we get a little bit of joy this weekend.
Get you laughing
Watching
at the
something
beginning of the
like that.
show, yeah. We might not be doing a whole lot of laughing today, so. I don't know. I had some people, regular followers that we have on here, like Donnie and Casey. Casey's like, I'm going hunting and I got a birthday party. Donnie's like, I got nothing else to say. I get it.
I get it.
It's
I'm right there with your brothers.
it's rough. I mean, it's hard to week after week.
Do the same thing
Yeah,
that
we're-
we've done for the last
yeah.
10 years when we've done a show every week.
I feel like we're talking about the same thing all the time too.
We are.
Now we got a few new things to talk about. Don't get me wrong. Got a few
No,
new
I'm with
things.
you. I'm with you.
I feel like
Sorry, I've been kind of sick, so.
I feel like when you look at our offense, I feel like we did some different things yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it looked a little better, but the one thing I wanted to make sure I said was we scored one touchdown on offense. Again.
Yep.
Like, they show the stats in the second half, and Dylan's whatever, for 105 yards. That's just not good enough.
Yeah. Yep.
One touchdown on offense is not good enough to win a game in the Big Ten on the road.
Agree. I mean, and even against a USC team that's not good.
They were not that good.
Their
They
backup
really were
quarterback
not.
was not good.
We made him look a little better than he probably was, but they were not good.
Hold on one second here. Sorry, responding to
You're
someone's
good.
message on X, Twitter. So we have a 5-star quarterback who now has, I think, in the last 4 games, I think maybe 1 touchdown pass and 7 interceptions or something
Yeah.
in the last 4 losses. I mean, talk about just somebody who has, after the first 5 games, our offense was clicking. They were looking good. Of course, competition wasn't
Right.
as good in the first 5 games, but at least he got his feet underneath him. He started to kind of get in a groove, and you're like, all right, he's building some confidence. He's going through the motions. Now we're going to start opening up that playbook and really let him let loose, and he's going to get going here when it comes to the second half of the season. And we haven't seen that. In fact, we've seen a backwards regression
Every
in the
week.
offense.
And I know it's obviously a new offensive coordinator this week, and, you're not going to jam 9 months of prep into 9 days or whatever. I understand that. I didn't think it'd look that much different. Thought it'd look a little bit different, and I really do think it kind of did.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not good enough.
Yeah. We've said, after Ohio State kind of gave us some hope. It's like, all right,
Right.
like Illinois, not a great showing overall. Our defense struggled. We made some adjustments second half. Really was one of those Big Ten matchups just head to head.
Right, and it seemed like it was more on the defense in that one,
Agreed.
in my opinion.
Agreed. But our offense still wasn't great. But even then, 5-1. We're feeling pretty good. We play Ohio State after Cincinnati. After Indiana.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, like we felt pretty good, and I was like, all right, like we're still 5-3. Like we're 5-3. We still have more games to figure it out. We got UCLA coming up after a bye. After a bye, we have USC. We have these teams, and
now we're staring at Wisconsin and Iowa, and Wisconsin kept it tight with Oregon yesterday.
Yeah,
we know what we're gonna get from Iowa. Like Adam Carricker said, why is it so hard to get to a bowl game? Like, why is it so hard? Like, what mentally with this team, this program, across many players, different coaches, what is the disconnect?
Even though our offense has been abysmal, what we haven't done good for years. And it probably goes back to when we started the show. I'd say like a lot of things, continued problems, continued issues that we bring up over and over again. We don't know how to score in the red zone.
Yeah,
we don't know how to utilize our tight ends in the red zone. We don't know how to utilize our running backs in the red zone. We don't run the damn ball when we have to in the red zone. And when we do, we run it straight up the middle, which never works. We don't do anything in the red zone that makes me think we're going to score when we get to the 30-yard line.
I know.
And the fact that we made 2 field goals yesterday, fantastic. But we can't in Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean it kept us in the game.
But we got to get touchdowns. The first time we get a field goal, guess what? Yeah, the ref absolutely missed the penalty there.
Right.
Big time pass interference, grabbing his jersey.
Right.
Big time penalty. We had to take a field goal. That's a horrible call. Horrible, no call. Again, not surprised, right? We see it every week. We're not getting those calls. And then we get down to the red zone again. And we have to take another field goal because it just wasn't good football.
Yeah.
And it's like that. At least one of those 2 trips, you got to get a touchdown. You can't. It's not like the NFL. You can have 4 or 5 field goals in the NFL and win a game sometimes. In college, it's rarely going to happen.
And you get a touchdown in one of those drives, then you don't have to try to score a touchdown at the end of the game. You kick a field goal to win the game instead of throwing an interception in the end zone at the end of the game.
Yeah. And so I think our red zone offense is something that is just never, for a long time, is non-existent.
I don't get it. Like you said, tight ends. I mean, there's so many different options, avenues that you can try, and whatever we've tried, just it doesn't look good. We get penalties.
Last drive, last chance to score, we get a false start. I mean, you can't have that.
It's just, I don't know. There's just something off. You see the volleyball team continuing to have success.
Now the sweep.
I mean, I don't know what it is in this football program, but I don't know if we made a deal with the devil in the 90s to win some natties and suffer for a long time, but that's how it feels.
I mean, some people kind of, crack up about it, and I think most of the time they're serious when they say this, that we need criminals. we need criminals on our squad again. I mean, look at
Georgia.
Look at Georgia. Look at Miami. Look at Florida. When they, with the urban era, like, these teams were winning when they had criminals, and I don't want criminals on our team, but it's like, damn, we just can't get over that hump to get number 6. And now,
when you're 5-1, it was like, okay, we talked about it. It was like, if we're 6-6 at the end of the year, it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
Now it's like, are we even going to get there?
Yeah. And a lot of people like, if they get to 6, is that a success? And I'm thinking, no, it's not. Like, a bowl game would be great.
Well, it would be big, monumental, honestly, because of how many young players we have. Get those guys around each other for another month of practice. I was listening to somebody the other day. They said, I've seen it before. Sorry, the dogs are going crazy. Seen it before where the season ends, they don't make a bowl game, and everybody just goes home. They're not spending time together. They're not building that camaraderie, practicing together, everything. I mean, I think it is big.
Yeah, I get that aspect. From just overall perspective, you go from a 5-7 to a 6-6.
It's not that big of a jump. I understand that.
That's just not a huge jump. And I think that is where I'm like, all right, like, this is not, it's really not that good of a success. It's really not something that I'm going to be happy about when I feel like
No,
I
we
feel
were
like
excited
it could have been
to.
better.
We were excited to get the 6 wins and do.
I want to Stone Cold Steve Austin some beers.
Right, but now it's almost like we're backing into that instead of jumping into it.
Yeah, and
I'll still do it. I'm still be excited about doing it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, and then,
especially because if that is the case, we would beat Wisconsin or Iowa. We haven't beat Wisconsin in 12 years, and we've struggled with Iowa for countless years.
Yeah,
so
Wisconsin would be a good win. They went toe-to-toe with Oregon last night, though their defense was stellar. Their run game was stellar. Their pass game is way worse than ours.
Right.
I think their quarterback threw for like 90 yards, and he just wasn't good. But
men's basketball going right now. Yeah, I suppose, Donnie. We'll see how they end up doing. They struggled pretty hard with Bethune-Cookman the other night, but we'll see.
Yeah. And cheers to Persico, by the way. And,
hey, Mike.
And shout out to Backswing Brewing. Thank you again for
Yes.
sticking with us through the year and providing us with our brewskis.
Ales.
Our delicious red ale and golden ale. So really appreciate supporting us. Talked to TJ over at Backswing a little bit. He's a Penn State fan, and so of course he's happy where they're at. But it's interesting perspective from an outside looking in perspective from somebody who's not, I guess, a Husker fan. He wants the Huskers to do well, but one thing that he talked about too to kind of bring you back down to earth and make you think differently is Dylan's still 19.
Yeah.
He is. He's a freshman. He's got a lot. I think he feels a lot of pressure to bring the program back to not only a bowl game, but get them even farther. And I think that pressure is getting to him. There's a lot of outside noise, including us. But there's a lot of outside noise. There's a lot of media noise. There's a lot of newspaper articles. And you can't, no matter how much you try to tell a kid not to look at those things, he's going to see them. He's going to see them. He's going to hear them. And that's where it's hard. A 19-year-old kid.
Well, and I mean, there was positivity this week. I mean, Dawson Merritt flipped from Alabama to Nebraska. I was kind of surprised he even chose Alabama in the first place because I thought he would choose Nebraska.
Yeah.
I knew I thought maybe he'd come back around, but maybe in the portal or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a guy like Dylan, you're going to get recruits like that.
Absolutely. So we do have a guest today on our show, so we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're continuing talking Husker football. We got Brian Knutson from the Husker Army podcast. So we met Brian, back in 2016, 17.
Gosh, I can't even remember.
Was it Scott Frost's first year?
It was a spring game.
So we met Brian that year, and so we're going to welcome him onto the show. And we're going to talk some Husker football. So, Brian, we got you?
Maybe.
Brian, how we doing? What's going on, man? How we doing?
That was a lot better about maybe 6 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Same. That's crazy, man. It's been a wild year.
It's been a long time since we've...
Gentlemen, how is it going?
I want to say...
What's going on, man? How we doing?
I was a lot better.
Or it was either Scott Frost's second year of the spring game. And I want to say it was Scott Frost's second year.
Okay,
that might have been right.
And yeah, we were doing the Scarlet and the Cream Husker podcast at the time.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, it was fun. We went to the bar after the spring game and did a pod. It was fun.
Yeah. So Brian,
that was a blast. That was the first time Frank and I had done something outside of the studio.
Okay.
Oh, okay, cool. So what are you up to now?
Oh man, now we're running the Husker Army podcast, and it's me, former Husker wide receiver Kenny Cheatham, and our recruiting guru Matt Sass, who keeps his eyes and ears glued to the recruiting trail. So he's a great guy to have with us. He clued us in on the Dawson Merritt flip as soon as it happened.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
And he's letting us know that maybe a certain right now commit to Texas could be flipping over to here soon.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver Michael Terry.
Possibly a wide receiver.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's been a talk for a while, especially Texas. I've seen them talk about how much they're bringing in all these wide receivers, 4 or 5-star guys, and they're like, you can't keep all of them because you can't play all of them. So eventually,
they're not all going to be happy because they're not all going to get the ball every play.
Yeah. So, well, that'll be interesting. So yeah, I guess we'll keep an eye out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to keep up with you, Brian. I keep up pretty good with recruiting, but you might have to step up on me.
Matt would be the one to follow.
Okay.
That's Herbie_Husker15.
Okay.
There you go.
He's the one to follow. He subscribes to all those recruiting sites. He somehow knows certain things before they happen. Not all the time. He's not always right, and he'll be the first to tell you that.
Yeah.
But he's pretty spot on 9 times out of 10.
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right. So, Brian, your overall thoughts and feelings about yesterday and how the game went. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? We 5-1. Now we've lost 4 straight. We got Raiola's got like 1 TD and 7 interceptions in those games, something like that. Not good numbers. What are you feeling for the last 2 games of the year?
The last 2 games of the year. Well, even leading into this game, I was saying, we're going 3-0. So I'm still going to say we're going 2-0. They're still very winnable games. The last 2 games have been very winnable games. And as me and Kenny even just talked about on our show right before this, Ohio State was a winnable game.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Even Illinois was a winnable game. You
Yes.
take Indiana out of that equation, all of those are winnable games.
100%.
That's the sad part that we're looking at. And as far as the way the season's unfolding right now, I didn't think we'd be in this position, especially sitting at 5-1. I thought there was no way in chance in hell it would come down to the last 2 games of the season, hoping for that 6th win. I understand that Raiola's only 19 years old, but he has, in a sense, regressed as the season's gone on a tad, in my opinion.
We were just talking about that.
What I saw in the UCLA game was he had success running against Ohio State a little bit. So in that UCLA game, the very next week, he was looking to run before pass almost the entire game, and it was driving me up the wall. So, I mean, as far as the regular season goes, yeah, I think we could beat Wisconsin. I know they had a great showing against Oregon. They really did. It took them right down to the wire. I believe, what was the final, 16-13?
Yep.
So, very winnable game still. It's in Lincoln. That place better be rocking like it was for Colorado, if not louder. I don't care.
Yeah.
Get behind the team. And if it comes down to having to beat Iowa in Iowa City, I'm okay with that because we did it just a couple years ago. It's not impossible. We did it with a worse team a couple years ago. It's not impossible. And Iowa fans giving us crap about losing to UCLA and then turning around and the same thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
They can go kick some rocks.
No, for sure. It's awfully interesting that sitting at 5-1, I thought no worries about getting a bowl game. I was thinking more than that at that point.
Yep.
Now, obviously, we're looking down the barrel of, Wisconsin and Iowa, 2 teams that have had our number for a long time. So it's just, I don't know, kind of interesting that that's the case. But no, I don't know. Like, who do you think we have a better chance against? I mean, do you see us beating Wisconsin because we're at home? Do you see us beating Iowa just maybe we're backs up against the wall? I don't know. I just thought I'd maybe see what your thoughts were. Night game McKinnick.
That really is a tough one because, like I said, if you go back just 2 years ago, there ain't nobody that gave us a chance of hell to pull off that win in Iowa City with that team we had that year.
It's true.
We had some playmakers, and they all showed the hell up that day.
Trey Palmer especially.
Yeah. Yep.
I do agree with you. Yes, Wisconsin would be the better one to put your money on for the simple fact, we're in Lincoln. I know Lincoln over the last probably decade has lost a lot of its luster to visit teams coming in. as far as that fear of we've got to deal with this team and the crowd. Now it's just, if we could tune out the crowd, we'll be okay. That's kind of how visiting teams are viewing it anymore.
Yep.
So yeah, I would think Wisconsin would be the better shot, but if we don't get it, I'm still not gonna completely press the nuclear panic button just yet, because it can still be done in Kinnick. But you're right, the night game in Kinnick, oh God, that sucks.
To an Iowa team that we know also sucks. Their offense, now they got this other quarterback in who got hurt. Now they're on like their fifth string quarterback. He was a linebacker on the practice squad before they played, before he came in at UCLA. I'm like, I don't even know what to, you don't know what to expect from Iowa. Like, I feel like their DBs and their defensive line isn't as good, but their linebackers are still stellar.
Right.
I feel like their offensive line is still good, but we also know, and to any Iowa fan that's listening, because I know we got a podcast that listens on here, the orange Hawkeye hat or whatever. Iowa's offensive line is always up for all these awards. Man, if you watch, they never get called for holding. They definitely hold. But not that I want to call it every play, but man, you got to call something. To an Iowa team that's not very good. And Walter on YouTube, Walter Donnelly, I agree. I would rather end our losing streak to Wisconsin and get that sixth win rather than pushing it to our last game, night game at Kinnick. Yes, against a team, to me, that's not good, and they're no better than we are. But we push it to that game, and that's a lot of pressure for the team when Rule keeps saying, I'm going to do whatever I can to get to that bowl game.
Well, and we always let other, quarterbacks that aren't running quarterbacks rush for 100 yards or whatever the case is. We always seem to let that type of stuff happen. So we got to get it done this week.
Agreed. I would love to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, nighttime inside Kinnick. Yeah, it is not a very good Iowa team. They've been Jekyll and Hyde on offense all season long. We thought the beginning of the season they had it figured out. They were starting to put up points. They were moving the ball. We were like, oh God. Did Iowa figure it out? Is this going to be that type of game come the end of the season? And then we've also seen games where it's the old Iowa offense that we've seen for 5 years. They can't move the ball. They can't produce points. They're relying on their defense to put up points, which they can do. It's still an Iowa defense.
Agreed.
So let's not take that for granted whatsoever. But yes, I would love to see us get it in Lincoln against Wisconsin. We haven't beat Wisconsin since 2012.
Yep.
And then they beat us.
Come back in Lincoln with the horrible uniforms.
Looked like a 4-year-old wrote the W on their helmets.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think we could have drawn something better up right now on the computer with the mouse and at the arrow and everything.
It's true.
It could have been so much better.
Well, and then they put up 70 on us that year.
Win in Lincoln in front of the fans. That would be the ultimate thing. I would love to see him get it at home rather than away.
Yep.
I just want to see him get it, but to kind of give the fans something that they can all share in collectively there at the game.
Yeah.
I'm already getting goosebumps.
No, man.
It's a possibility right now.
That we didn't go to the game, but we were down there for the Rutgers game, which was the last win, and we were hyped. Matt was definitely hyped.
I was so hyped.
Matt was
jacked.
high-fiving everybody walking back to the car.
I was yelling 5-1 to everybody going back. Oh my God.
It was fun. It was a fun atmosphere. It was the most fun I've had down there in a while, and it felt different. Like, man, we've struggled for so long, and this feels different. And now we're back to that. But and I have that type of feeling winning at home this week.
And I was at the UCLA game, and Brian, that was my thought exactly is, holy cow, like how awesome would it be? We're going to beat UCLA, a team that we are better than and that we should beat at home. And I'm going to be here to finally see us win a game and get bowl eligible for the first time since 2016. Like, I was jacked, super excited. And then we lost. And it's like, man, like the stadium deflated. And Colin Miller called out the fans.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, someone's like, one of the best linebackers at Nebraska. For one, he wasn't one of the best linebackers at Nebraska. Love Colin Miller. But The fans were rowdy, man. They were loud. They never sat down. I think I stood the entire game, so I don't know what he was looking at. Maybe closer to the field it was a little down, but man, I was 80 rows up and the fans were rocking, man. We were behind that team the entire way, even when we're like, yeah, we're probably not going to win the game, but let's shout and yell anyways. And then we don't get it. And it's like, to get that feeling back in Memorial Stadium and do it in front of our home crowd would be something to take into next season, whether we beat Iowa or not, and take into our bowl game. And again, get the extra practices, get the team jiving in the before that bowl game, and then hit the offseason, hit the recruiting trail, and say, hey, we got to the grind, we battled, and win now mentality took over. As Joel mentions here, Rule's talking about win now. It's not about win tomorrow, it's win now. And that mentality has to go through the entire squad.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, how big would it be? And, well, the UCLA game, yes, I'm right there with you. I thought that entire week leading up to it, I'm like, this is a 2-win UCLA team. They're very far down. It's a first-year head coach, a first-time head coach. And I went back and I looked at just the scores of their games leading up to ours. And, yeah, they had a very hard schedule to start.
Correct.
They really did. But if you look at the scores, they lost those games like they should have. Like a team that is not up to par to their opponent should lose. So leading into that UCLA game, I'm thinking the same thing you're thinking. This is going to be amazing. They're going to get that 6th win in Lincoln. The fans are going to lose their minds. And then we got what we got. We saw, like you said, letting a quarterback that's not known for running have the longest run of his career, the longest run of UCLA's season leading into that, which just blew my mind. And it happened not just once, but twice in that game. And then that started making that feeling start to creep back in that, oh, God, is this going to happen again? And if we're letting that creep in as just fans, which as fans we can overreact, we can say whatever we want. That's what we are as fans. Hopefully as players, they're not starting to clam up and say, oh shit, is this going to happen again?
Well, and
I want them to put the clamps down.
I totally agree. And I mean, I don't know, I love guys like Ty Robinson and, those types of players. But they've been in the program for so long that, like, do we need to move, look forward to moving on from those guys? Obviously, I don't know who's going to fill their roles, but
it's scary. Yeah.
It's just that, I don't know. They've gone through it for so many years. Like you said, like, it starts creeping in their minds, like, oh, here we go again. Like, do we need to weed that mentality out?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a question. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know, because I love players like that. And you see these guys, and they make a tackle for loss, and you're like, oh man, that's Ty. Like, we met him. He's like the biggest guy I've ever met. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Then when things go wrong, it's like, here we go again.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to comment real quick on that. Then on Brian, I want to get your thoughts. But Joel on our Facebook page here, he always brings just different insight too. Which, Joel, I appreciate that. He talked about Ty Robinson, what he mentioned with pleading with the underclassmen. Like, our seniors they're used to losing, and we talked about that mentality with Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams.
We talked about that mentality of, like, you're just so used to losing. And, you fold when it gets tough. And so these younger guys have to find their way to get in the game. And I think that's part of Rule and his team. He said, I'm going to play the guys that are ready to play. And if they're ready to play, they're going to play. And we see some of our younger guys making an impact in the game early on. And so, you look at that too, like, I want to see those younger guys get into the game. Right now, I say for some of them, screw the red shirt, because you're important enough to where you can make a difference. Carter Nelson, man, that guy's been invisible.
We saw him early and haven't seen him since.
He showed sparks, and then just like he's gone. And yeah, he's getting a red shirt, of course. But we got Ja'Cory Barney, who's been out in the field making a difference every single game. If we have more guys like Barney that can go in there and make a difference every game, that just changes the entire team, and it brings the upperclassmen up too, and builds them up to say, I can't let you down as the upperclassmen. I'm going to bring you up and make sure that I'm setting the table for you for next year. And I don't see that happening as much as I want to see it happen.
Agreed.
I don't know. That's, again, just a thought. I think Rule's got time, but those underclassmen, we have some talent there.
And I can't lose those guys. I mean, those guys could jump ship anytime. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes to not just Rule, but the rest of the coaching staff. When you've got a talent like Malachi Coleman and you can convince him to redshirt this season because all intents and purposes, started the season completely filled at the wide receiver position, if not overfilled. So to convince somebody with the talent like Malachi Coleman has to redshirt this whole season, because I don't believe I've even seen him out on the field once. That includes the UTEP game.
No, I think he was hurt.
Well, he had
earlier in the year, wasn't he?
He had surgery after last season, so maybe they're kind of being delicate with him. I'm not sure, but
yeah, could be.
And Jalen Lloyd, he's one that, my God, Kenny on our show just loses his absolute collective mind about how he's not being utilized.
100%.
How he's not much of a target. How he's not getting the touches. Now, don't get me wrong. Somebody like Ja'Cory Barney, the way he's come along already as a freshman, it has been amazing. He's got great speed. He's got a great cut. He knows when he plants his foot, he's going north and south, which is nice, especially somebody with a build like his. You don't see that very often. That's almost like a Ramir Johnson type guy.
Oh, 100%.
You're not the biggest guy out there, but you're not afraid to plant that foot and lay the hit on somebody. Just hopefully he doesn't hurt himself doing that.
And take the hit, yeah.
Or make the catch, take a hit, make a play. He's not scared to catch the ball and take a hit because he gets hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then speaking on what you're talking about with the seniors, talking to the underclassmen, like you said, these seniors, none of these guys have been to a bowl game. They've never had these out of season, after postseason practices and games. So me and Kenny even touched on this today. It's the fact that it almost feels like, I know these guys want to win. I know that there's not a single one of them that says to hell with it.
So, yeah.
Pack it in, the season's done. I get that. But the fact that none of these guys have had postseason play, they don't know what that feeling is, and makes me wonder. Let me take that back. Makes me wonder if they have that hunger to drive for that because they've never felt it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know they want it, but how bad can you want something if you've never tasted it?
That's true. It's a very good point. Because, if you got a 6-year senior that's been to 3 bowl games, and these young guys be like, hey, guys, this is what you're going for.
Yeah.
They can't really say that to them because they haven't been there.
This is all the free stuff you get. If you're going to a bowl game,
whatever it is.
You're gonna get beats. You're gonna get this. You're gonna get that. Like, you get a free trip. Like, those are cool things, and that just adds on to the bonus of all the practices and all the extra time you get with your team and the extra game, and you get to go to a fun place maybe you've never been to before, and it's an experience.
In a bowl game, players might winning a bowl game is great, but just getting there and being able to maybe play some players or try some different things, play some players that didn't really get a chance to play, whatever it is, there's just, and that whole month of practice, there's just so much, like, we need it so bad. Like, we have to win one of these next 2 games. It's wild.
And I love that.
It's huge. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I saw one of your viewers comment there talking about having a main running back, and I was about to agree with that 100%.
Yes.
Emmett Johnson. Look, I love Dante Dowdell. I think he's great. He really loves to leave his feet a lot. He loves to jump or is something hurdle.
He does.
He really loves to just leave his feet when he's running the ball.
He's good at it.
But Emmett Johnson, he really is. And the thing is, to me, though, is we were privileged enough to have Emmett Johnson on with us before the season started this year.
Well, I hate you for that, but cool.
Man, getting to talk with that young man and getting to hear how he feels about not just himself and where he's at in his career, but where this team is at and with this coaching staff. You would have sworn that there wasn't any way, shape, in hell that this team was going to lose a game at all this season. And what I've seen out of him, and unfortunately with Ramir being banged up, we don't get to see much out of him because that man's a Swiss Army knife. But with Emmett,
way to put it.
he absolutely wants that ball. It comes to a 4th and 1 or 4th and goal situation. He is that guy that wants the ball to put his head down to get that yard. Now, he also believes he is that guy that is going to get you that 50, 60, 75-yard burst run to the house. And he's worked on his hands, so he's a great receiving back as well. We got to see that
Yesterday.
with his first reception touchdown.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm just saying, give Emmett his shot. I love Gabe Irvin Jr. as well, but I think right now, Emmett is the guy, and he needs to be the guy.
Well,
I totally agree.
So hungry for this.
We talked about at the beginning of the season. We talked about the depth chart, and we saw Emmett and Ramir, and of course it wasn't actually like this. They just put the running backs on there. They weren't actually decided yet. But I talked about it. I said I think Emmett and Ramir 1 and 2 would be fantastic because one thing we haven't had, Brian, in a long time is a very clear number 1 running back who's going to get majority of snaps. And to me, Emmett is that guy. I mean,
I think so too.
What he did yesterday just showed that he should have been that guy all year. He's shown it throughout the year as well. Just hasn't been getting the touches. Dowdell's a transfer from Oregon, ground and pound.
And he's been great.
He's a senior, right?
He's been decent, I guess I could say.
He's been good, but I just think Emmett's going to give you the distance. He's going to give you the pizzazz, if you will. He's able to slice and dice through tackles, and Dowdell's like, I'm running straight. And I can jump over guys, but I can't move left and right very much. Emmett that guy is elusive, and he showed it yesterday. And then I felt like we kind of abandoned and left the run game to sizzle out. We didn't bring in Harburg and bring in the run game. Our run game started to have some success, and we just kind of left it.
Well, and I think, like you said, a clear number 1. It's hard. You look at all 4 of those guys. They've all over time shown success. Obviously, Dante's new this year, but it's hard. It's hard to pick because you're like, we got all 4 of these guys. If we don't spread the ball around, we might lose some of these guys. But they also each bring a different dynamic, whatever. But you got to pick one guy.
Well,
I mean, you gotta play the best guy, which I think they thought they did with Dowdell. Just it's the way the season has gone. I think Emmett is clear number 1.
And I think it was the last 2 games you have to. If you didn't see that against USC, then as a head coach and as a position coach, you're not paying attention, and that's a problem. But again, and Donnie mentioned 3rd and 8. Let's throw it behind the line of scrimmage. We had a 12-yard first down run, 12 or 13-yard first down run, and then we did 2 passes behind the line of scrimmage. And then we did another pass that was incomplete. Like, those are the kind of things that I don't understand why we don't just ground and pound. Nebraska in the 90s. Yes, I'm going back to the 90s. We did what worked until they could stop us, and they couldn't stop us. But, do what works until they stop you. And we choose to stop ourselves rather than getting stopped. And that, to me, is one of the most frustrating things that I've seen. Because yesterday we could have ran the damn ball a lot more than what we did. We had 25 carries. 5 yards a carry.
Really?
We could have ran the ball a lot more. We could have ran it 35, 40 times and had a lot more success on the ground. And again, I love the run game, and I think we fail at that year after year after year to establish a run game since Abdullah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you.
Well, Zigbo. I guess Zigbo. Sorry,
Zigbo was great.
Ziggy had 1,000 yards.
Yeah, sorry. Oh my God, I feel stupid.
Can't forget about Ziggy.
I'm sorry, Divine. That's my bad.
Yep. But you look at, Zigbo, Abdullah, and Burkhead. The last 3 really running backs that were number 1s that had success, and we just haven't seen
And guess what? All 3 of those guys went to the league. I mean, Zigbo didn't last that long, I guess, but yeah.
And guess what? Our offensive line, I thought yesterday did fantastic. Ben Hart was an absolute beast on the line. Was it Gatula? What's his name? Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah, Gatula.
We were opening up holes. Our guys were hitting the holes. Again, we
abandoned the run game.
Yeah, we didn't do it consistently. And Brian, that hurts my heart because I was like, man, we could do it so much more and have so much more success. And we go back to the pass game with a quarterback that can't run.
Yeah, if I could give the offensive line only one criticism from yesterday's
Please
game,
do.
that would be the snap where the entire left side of the line must not have known what the snap count was.
Yes.
Oh,
And they got the sack.
They didn't move till it was way too late.
their guys were at our quarterback, and I'm like, oh shit.
Well, and that goes back to we let teams do things that they're not very good at. They said USC was like 110th in sacks. And I was like, they're going to get sacks for sure. Wild.
Man. Man, Brian, so we're gonna switch gears here real quick, and you're welcome to stay on because I think you probably have some good comments on this too, as a football fan in general. But any other comments on Husker football you want to chime in before we move to college football playoff?
Let's see. I think the only thing I would throw out there as of right now, and I mean it's no secret, everybody sees it, is the officiating, and it's not just Big Ten. It's not just the Big Ten officiating at all. I was watching at Pitt right before our game was going on. And Pitt was driving down. They had it inside the red zone. Might have been inside the 10, so it might have been first or second down and goal. And obvious false start. They had a man in motion, and then their tight end started in motion and reset.
I was watching it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
It's become ungodly, and I hate to use this word because I think it's such a cliche word. It's egregious.
Yes.
It's absolutely egregious. And if I somehow can get NFL referee Clete Blakeman on our show,
I could. He's a family friend. He's a family friend. I know him.
I would so appreciate if you could help us out.
That'd be amazing.
I got so many questions for him.
I could do it.
That would be amazing to get Cleat on here.
My dad was an official and he used to ref with him.
We delivered furniture to his house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a customer of mine too, yeah.
Any questions for Cleat about college football officiating, how things are handled, how disputes are handled? I've got a ton of questions.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have some pretty good answers, like kind of beating around the bush would be my guess.
Well,
but no, he's a stand-up guy. He's a good dude.
Well, and I have three prime examples yesterday, Brian, of officiating. The pass interference on the 2-yard line when Banks almost got the ball. He didn't, but very clear tugging and pulling of his jersey that didn't get called. 1. 2, the spot of the ball when they gave them a first down that was not a first down.
Not a fucking first down.
We got a first down against Ohio State. They didn't give it to us.
And it cost us points.
Because for some reason the ref
we still got a field goal, but...
Yeah, the ref thought the lineman was carrying the ball. Like, how stupid can you be? Like, that was egregious. And then yesterday it happened where they were 1.5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and they just moved the ball up, gave him a first down. I'm like, they didn't reach the 40-yard line. He was at the 41.5 or something. Like, it was awful. For one, and I want to get back to this one real quick. For one, we didn't challenge it, which pisses me off because that's now
because we've done that
two times in a row where Rule has refused to pull out the challenge flag, and 2, the booth is not calling down. The booth reviews every first down play. For some reason, they did not call down. That was not a first down. So pissed off about that. 3, the tug of the jersey on Banks again in the end zone, very obvious, ball in the air. The guy is refusing to let him get to the ball. It was a horrible throw, bad decision, 100%.
He caught it though.
But
anyway,
well, the defender caught it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, he did catch it. It was a great catch. It was a horrible decision.
I was thinking of a different play.
But Banks got pulled again on the very last play.
Yeah,
and it's like you can't not call those as a ref, and you can't say I didn't see it. If you didn't see it, you're not watching. Like that gets me, Brian. The referees get me more pissed off than anything else in football and hockey. If you ever come to me a hockey game, I yell at the refs all the time. He can attest to that.
I know Matt does
But,
not
like,
like hockey officiating.
There's certain things that it's like that's so blatantly obvious. If we can see it on TV, the booth should see it. The refs on the field that are looking at the play should see it. And it's just, oh man. Brian's like, dude, you're at like a 9. You're at a 4, and I'm like, dude, I'm at a 9 right now. I'm not even at a 4. I'm at a 9. Like I was steamed, and it just boils me because
you got the commentators bringing it up, and blatantly talking about it on the air live.
And was it Brock? Is it Brock Heward?
Brock Heward.
And he's awful. I don't like him as a commentator at all. Was he a Colorado quarterback too? Where did he play? He was a quarterback. Washington. That's right. I don't like him either, but like he did a decent job yesterday.
I don't mind him.
He's someone I haven't liked, but he did a great job yesterday, I thought.
Yeah, I like Brock. I do appreciate what he calls our games. He seems to really like being in Lincoln. He likes calling our games no matter where we're at. He gives us always a lot of credit.
Agreed.
Talks highly about school. And yeah, when he played at Washington in 97, he got his butt handed to him by our defense.
I watched that game preseason. That's what. Yeah, I knew that. I watched that game preseason.
So as we talk about that, now I want to flip to the playoff because Brian, I think the playoff is really interesting right now, and the SEC was up in arms before this weekend on Georgia's at 12. Why are they at 12? They should be automatically in. The strength of schedule, yada yada yada. What do you feel about the playoff and just overall the 12-team playoff? What are your thoughts on it, and how do you feel about the shakedown that's going to happen Tuesday night?
What I like about the playoff is now we finally got something to where I suppose you finally can't complain.
Agreed.
Once you get to the national title game. We finally have something in place. We have a formula in place where, yes, you do get automatic bids for your Power 4 or Power 5 conference champions.
Yep.
I understand that. Is there an automatic bid for the Group 5 champion? I forget about that. And then, not to mention, you also have where, say, your conference champion may not be your higher ranked in the conference, to where that team's going to leapfrog into the automatic bid, and the team that lost is going to drop back. It's going to be one of those things where you've really, really got to pay attention because a certain team losing, a certain team winning can totally change how the brackets are going to look.
100%.
So, I love it. And like I said, we finally get to the point to where we're going to have a clear-cut national champion. Nobody's going to get left out that deserve to be in.
Like an undefeated Florida State?
So, it's, and honestly, let's think about it, guys. Where we're at as a program right now, it gives us a better chance of making the playoff at this point, too.
Yeah, at some point,
100%.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because you got Miami now who's in the playoff hunt, and SMU is actually leading the ACC. And Miami lost to unranked Georgia Tech. And they're still in the playoff hunt. They're still in the they're still in the playoff hunt with SMU. And I don't remember, who did SMU lose to?
They lost to BYU. It was like 16-13 or something like that. It was close, and now obviously BYU took a hit yesterday.
Dropped it to Kansas.
Yeah.
But really, a better loss is SMU.
Yeah,
and
right.
again, they lead the ACC, but they're outside looking in to the playoff because of Miami's ranking at the beginning of the season.
Even though ranking at the beginning of the season, we talk about this
all the time,
preseason rankings, and obviously they do it for eyeballs. You know, you got number 12 versus number 18.
A&M and Notre Dame
makes
first
the
game of the year.
More worth a watch. I get it, but then you take a look back, and Florida State was preseason top 10, and they're whatever they are at this point.
And we can go down a rabbit hole here because I've talked about this with a couple different people. They talk about strength of schedule. Strength of schedule for the SEC is harder than the Big Ten.
Yep.
Strength of schedule is made up, and it's ESPN puts the strength of schedule together. ESPN has a deal with SEC. You put SEC against Big Ten, who knows who's going to win that game? Very different styles of football. Big 12, Big 10, Big 12, SEC. You can say the Big 12 sucks, but guess what? You got to win your games in your conference, and you're not going to always play Big 10 versus SEC every year.
Or you
Big
see
12 versus what? Like,
Colorado beating everybody, but we beat their ass.
yeah, like strength of schedule means nothing. So when everything leading up to this Saturday, when Georgia and they're talking about Georgia and Bama, you got Paul Feinbaum and Heather Danish talking about SEC needs a 3-loss team, could make it in because their strength of schedule. I'm like, well,
and they
that's
would be
BS.
in over a 1-loss BYU or a 1-loss
Indiana.
And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
That's not right, because winning your games on your schedule matter. And again, strength of schedule to me is very subjective, and it's a made-up stat. I don't know how they even come up with strength of schedule. To me, it's what
Just because you guys beat each other doesn't mean that you were all good.
Well, but the SEC, Brian, the SEC beats up on each other, which is okay because they're all good and strength of schedule is hard. Big Ten beats up on each other. That's because they all suck.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense. But when it comes to the
Double
playoff,
standard.
what we do know when it comes to the playoff, you're always going to have at least 4 SEC teams in, if not 5.
Yes.
You're going to have probably 3 to 4 Big Ten teams. Now, I know what they talked about throughout the year is they want to come to a deal where there's automatic 4 Big Ten and 4 SEC teams in the 12-team playoff. That is something that they are looking. So it's like that doesn't make sense. You're totally
It
defeating
doesn't.
the purpose of the game.
I've been so excited to expand to 12 because when it was 4 and you had 5 conferences, it didn't make sense because a TCU could be undefeated or 1 loss and would get jumped by a team that they shouldn't have. Florida State goes undefeated last year, gets jumped by a 1-loss Bama. Now that you have 12, it has to be not fair. I mean, fair doesn't really sound right in sports, but like there has to be a standard.
Yeah.
You know, you have to you win your games, you get to this spot. You lose your games, you're not there.
And losing to teams that are not ranked and don't even end up in the top 25, that's great. Maybe they were ranked when you lost to them, but now they've lost another game.
Right.
It's like, sorry, Vandy is not a good team.
Right.
I'm sorry, they're not. Ole Miss spanked Georgia. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Is Georgia a top 12 team? I don't know. Then they beat Tennessee. Tennessee lost to an unranked team. It's like
Arkansas.
That's the Arkansas. Arkansas and Tennessee went toe-to-toe.
Arkansas and Texas went toe-to-toe for a bit yesterday. So
again,
it's hard to say. I mean, maybe now between NIL and portal, the SEC is a little bit more widespread than narrowing it down to 2 or 3 teams. It's more widespread. So you could say, oh, it's strength of schedule, but if they're not, I mean, if it's that way, then none of them are really that good, are they?
So you got to look at like conference because Wisconsin went toe-to-toe with Oregon. Oregon decided to do a stupid fake field goal.
Nebraska
with
went
their
toe-to-toe
punter.
with Ohio State. I mean, and they got Ohio State as number 2 in the rankings.
That's why you play the games on the field. And so, yes, wins and losses 100% matter, but the SEC is trying to say it doesn't matter because of our strength of schedule.
And that's what happened last year.
Doesn't make sense.
Alabama got in over Florida State.
This is the kind of rants that go on, Brian.
So how much does it make Bama's schedule so much stronger by losing to Vanderbilt?
Exactly. But they'll say that Vandy could beat any team in the Big Ten. That's the argument from SEC and their fans.
Right, because they played tight with
lines?
they played tight with Texas, and they had them ranked for a little while.
Yeah.
Of course, they had to have them ranked, right?
But I think what showed yesterday with Oregon and Wisconsin is you put a Pac-12 team, Oregon, you send them to Camp Randall in a Big Ten environment against Wisconsin, who's usually a powerhouse.
In a night game, in the
And
cold.
they couldn't throw the ball, but man, did they run the ball on Oregon. And Oregon had to come up with a hell of a tip for came down to the last play of the last drive of the game, and Oregon got it done. But man, 16-13, Oregon's going to stay number 1 probably in the college football playoff. But do you negate that win because it was a team that is under 500? No, it's still a conference win. A conference win's a conference win. Those are some of your
Especially
toughest
on the road.
games. So again, strength of schedule I think is a BS statistic that again gets put out there mainly for SEC.
Well, and
No one in the Big Ten talks about
We've
strength of
talked about
schedule.
it too. I think a lot of times in the first few weeks of the college football playoff rankings, they do kind of shuffle things around a bit just to get people talking, just to get people watching.
It's all about money.
Right. And it does typically play itself out, minus last year, Florida State not getting in. But I think it'll play itself out. But I am curious to see how many SEC teams do make it in.
Yep.
Yeah, and also to add on to your point as well is talking about Oregon having to play in Camp Randall later in the season where it's cold, it's at night.
Yep.
That's another thing I love about this expanded playoff. Could you guys imagine?
Yes, sir.
That Nebraska just makes it in, and we host a first-round playoff game in Lincoln in December
Yes.
to an SEC
Yes,
team
sir. I
or
knew you were going to say that.
a Southern ACC team. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Clemson
I
or
want to see that.
yeah,
100%.
yeah. That'd be awesome.
So again, I think it's interesting because now they're like, oh, 12 teams isn't enough. Well, the only conference bitching about it right now.
Plenty, I think.
Well-
I think 12's good.
That's too many, probably, maybe.
And I kind of like Brian's point here because you talk about that home field advantage for the playoff. That's something that we haven't seen in the playoff because it's been 4 teams and they've been playing
Neutral site.
indoors, neutral site. Now you gotta go, maybe to the big house. I mean, Michigan
Yep.
not this year, but maybe you
Shoe or
you gotta go. Yeah,
State.
You gotta go to Happy Valley in December.
State, Minnesota.
Yeah. In December, like, damn, that is a big time advantage.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because those Alabamas and those Georgias, they've been playing indoors in the playoff games for countless number of years
and
now.
they play how many? They play how many games at a neutral site? They play in They play in the not Georgia Dome, the BMW Stadium. They play in Jerry's World.
Yes.
They play in all these stadiums that are under roofs. Like you don't get that in the Big Ten. You're playing in the weather. You're playing in the elements. Like,
go up to Camp Randall and
I 100% think that benefited Wisconsin yesterday.
I think so too.
100%. It was cold.
Yeah, it'll be
Dylan was cold, but it was a fun game to watch. Like again, like conference. Like the Georgia Tennessee game was not a bad game to watch. But then of course Kirby afterwards. If you can tell me that this isn't a team that needs to be in the playoff, like dude, like shut up. Like it's gonna
win your games. 2 losses.
Win your games. You win your games. That's all you got to do. If you don't win your games, sorry. If you get 3 losses, sorry. Ole Miss is lucky to be there too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, because with the expanded playoff, I think this gives opportunities when you've got a 2 or 3 loss SEC team. Get them out of there and leave room for guys like say when you've got a Cinderella team going on, like that one year with Coastal Carolina. One of the military schools.
Army's still undefeated. They dropped 2 spots in the rankings.
Yeah.
Leave it open. Leave it open for guys like that. Could you ever imagine seeing a military university making it into a playoff game, potentially hosting one?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. How crazy would that be?
And just take a look at other sports. Like I do like this expanded playoff because it does give a broader scale to it's not just the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Clemsons and the Ohio States.
Yes.
In other sports, college baseball, college basketball. How many college basketball tournament? I mean, how many upsets are there early on? So give a team a chance that's 11-1, but they're not in the SEC.
Yeah.
To play an SEC team and maybe beat them.
Yeah.
College baseball, college hockey. I mean, everything. It's always fun to watch that. So I kind of want to see that in college football.
Yeah.
But
there's
all it takes is a team or a player getting hot at just the right time. You see it in every single sport when it comes to playoff times.
And I think the problem is now with especially football, because we know that's the money maker at all these big schools, especially D1.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, money's going to drive the business, and unfortunately, I think that's what we're going to see more and more now. Is the money is going to drive the decisions to get the ratings, to get the right matchups. Like I hate to be that cynical about it, but we've seen
it's
it.
the way it is.
We've seen it, and NIL is going to be the same way. And so I hope to see this first 12-team playoff be fantastic and amazing, and really good matchups. I want to see Indiana host Alabama. Like, bring it on. Like, that's, to me, that is like, hell yeah. Like, I want to see Indiana whoop Ohio State. I think they're actually a better team from what I've seen at Ohio State. I think they expose their defensive backs this upcoming weekend, and that's how they're going to win the game. But, like, how awesome would that be? Indiana Hoosiers hosting Alabama Crimson Tide, and it's not basketball. Talking football.
In the cold.
Let me just salivate a little bit. Like,
yeah.
I'm drooling. Like, that's exciting. That's exciting football.
You know what's more exciting is if it was Nebraska.
Yeah.
Maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And you got to admit, too, granted, right now they're projected to have a first-round bye as long as their season keeps going the way it's going. Actually, I take that back. Did Boise State pull it off against San Jose State?
Oh, yeah.
I did not see the end of that.
Yep. Jonty had like 160 yards and 3 TDs.
Okay. If their season continues the way it's going, they're projected to have a first-round bye because they'll be their conference champion.
Yep.
All that. But say they stumble, and they do still happen to make it in. How great would it be to see a first-round playoff game on the Smurf turf?
Oh, my God.
Yes,
oh,
sir.
yeah. Bring it. Be amazing.
I think it might happen.
Weather game, definitely. Boise in December? Oh,
Yes,
my
sir.
God.
Yeah,
I don't want
have
to
an SEC team go up there. That'd be freaking great.
I don't want to go freeze my butt off, but neither will.
Well,
the SEC.
especially against, in my opinion, the Heisman frontrunner, but others would probably say Hunter. But I don't know. That'd be cool to see an SEC team have to go up to Boise.
That'd be fun. So
They'd probably make a Big Ten team go.
yeah, probably make the matchups. Well, I know we got the playoff coming up on Tuesday. We'll find out where the rankings are. See where Georgia went after beating Tennessee the other day. See what else. I don't think the top 5 changes. I think Notre Dame probably hops to 6 because you had Tennessee losing. Bama destroyed Mercer, the powerhouse of Mercer, 52-3. Man, they're going to move up because that was a tough matchup for their second to last game.
Well, because everybody lost ahead of them, so they scheduled right, I guess.
Unbelievable. 8 conference games and a Mercer. Anyways, Brian, you got anything else to share before we're about to end our show? You got anything else you want to share before you get off here?
Not too much. Other than I'd love to see how far you guys have come ever since we first met doing Charlotte and Cream.
Hell yeah.
I love the people you get on your show. I love the stuff you guys got on your wall back there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You always have in front of you. The shows you guys have done outside of the studio have been great. You guys have always been engaging on social medias with your fans and everything. Just, you guys are one of the ones that me and Frank were like, all right, so this is kind of how you're supposed to do a podcast, isn't it?
No, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You guys were kind of the ones that we always looked at. We're like, yeah, these guys know what the hell they're doing. So if we could somewhat kind of get around their level, I think we'll be all right. And as long as we can be on with them sometime or have them on with us, that's even a bonus. And then, of course, everybody knows where to find the show for us. Twitter, Instagram, @HuskerArmyPod.
Absolutely.
Find us on YouTube. Find us Apple Podcast, Spotify, all those audios.
Hell yeah. And so, Brian, remind me, are you in Lincoln?
No, I'm actually, myself is based in Fremont. So
Shit. I thought you were in Lincoln.
50 minutes away from Lincoln.
Okay.
We could have just come to you today. Jeez, we're not that far. We're in Omaha.
Or you could have come to us. I got 3-month-old twins, brother.
That works, man. That'd be perfect.
Well,
I actually work in Omaha anyway.
Man, let's do. Okay, so we'll have to do something.
So that's awesome.
We'll have to do something in person then, since we're pretty close to each other. So we'll stay in touch. We'll get something in person. And then, man, again, just appreciate you coming on the show today. I know it's been a long time coming, so we'll continue this relationship moving forward. And hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Go watch some NFL games. And as always, go Big Red, man.
Yes, sir.
Cheers. All right. All right, everybody.
Good talking to you, brother.
You take care.
You too.
All right, guys.
Oh, that was fun.
That was fun.
He was great. I remember he was great when we met with him last time.
100%.
So,
but appreciate everyone jumping on today. I know it's tough. It's tough when you're not winning games. It's tough when we've been doing this as long as we have, and we still don't have a winning season since 2016. But again, we'll keep bringing it, keep bringing the heat, keep bringing some positivity as much as we
just
can.
need one more freaking win
One more
this week.
day
please.
by day. We get better and better. Let's get better next week.
I'm not sure we have throughout the season, but we can get better
next
this week with, another week with this offensive coordinator.
Really, you just got to put it all together. It's not that we haven't gotten better. It's that we've gotten better in phases. We're just
Right.
not putting it all together on the field at the same time
Agreed.
in those phases to come together and win games. And so I think we can do it. And one of those next 2 games, to me, we have to do it. Let's get number 6.
I think we will.
I want to smash some brews. I want it stone cold. Let's go.
Yeah, and
Probably Bush Light, though. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do,
I couldn't do one of
Bug
these
eater.
for sure.
I mean, we could probably try to smash one of those, but
That'd be tough, but
be fun.
No, I think what would be nice is not just to sneak a win against either one of these teams, but to run away with a win.
Yeah.
Beat Wisconsin 35-17 or something.
To look good while
to look
we do
pretty
it.
good,
Yeah.
and it's not like we had to come back or hold on
Last
to win the
minute.
game.
Yeah.
But to run away with it, that's what I'm looking forward to, hoping for.
Be beautiful. I love it. All right, man. All right, I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
Again, we're 2 average guys. Y'all
Sorry
enjoy
about
the rest of your
that,
day.
so.
Go Big Red, and enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your week.
We'll see you next time.
Come on, good game, everybody. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that all these fans came out here to watch a game of football.
John, Frank Marshall.
They lost the same area by 3.
I'm just making conversation.
Husker
Come on.
basketball.
Football!
I'm kind of surprised that it was that close.
Come a running, boys, don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it rolls along in a good old song from the sons of Nebraska. Now it's coming near, with a rise and cheer, that'll sweep all foes away. So with all our vim, we were bound to win, and we're going to win today. In the days of old, Johnny Vanderbilt would just take that ball in hand, and with Benedict right in front of him, they would set sail for the land. Then not eager to, with a chosen few, would be all round everywhere. And before they quit, they would calmly sit down behind that goal post there. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Green. Though they go through many battles, our colors still are seen. And so in contest and in victory, we will wave our colors.